Hey, this is Bill from Calderwood Percussion with another weekly shop update. Finally back in the shop after the holidays. I don't know about you guys, but the holiday gig season for me was completely insane. Between my wife and my wife is a professional ballet dancer, for those of you that don't know, and between she and I, we did 39 Nutcracker performances. From her first gig was she danced Sugar Plum for a company in Kittery, Maine, the weekend of Thanksgiving, and then we were gigs straight from there all the way till the night before New Year's Eve. And 39 performances between the two of us, and all the rehearsals and dress rehearsals and stuff that goes with it. And we have a 2-year-old son and a 5-year-old daughter. Our son, by the way, is now completely obsessed with the Nutcracker. Watching this little 2-year-old run around with a Nutcracker doll that's as big as him, and he dances like the entire production. He constantly makes us play the music, which would be horrible if it wasn't so unbelievably adorable. So anyway, that's a thing that's happening in my life right now. So we did all these performances and the rehearsals and juggling our 2 children, who are wonderful, but they're a little too young to just be like, hey kids, hang out backstage while mommy and daddy go do this show. It's so we had a pretty busy month, and then of course after the last show closed, I got really sick for a while. So what I'm trying to get at is, if you've been waiting on something from me, or if you emailed me or called or something during that time and I didn't get back to you, I'm sorry. That's why. I've been going through my emails trying to make sure that I kind of dig out from that backlog, and been working really hard to get back up to speed here in the shop, because I've hardly been here for like the last 6 weeks. That brings us to what are we working on right now? Well, an uncharacteristically huge amount of stuff. Normally this time of year, my wife and I, we finish up our Nutcracker gigs and other, I always wind up planning some corporate holiday parties and things like that. All that wraps up when I get to the shop, and I've got like an order, maybe 2 at the most, and although that's a little stressful in terms of our family's finances, it's cool because I get some time to work on prototypes and maybe do some restorations on some older things that I've been kind of kicking around for a while. This year is not that year. This year we are out straight. So this is just some of the things we're working on right now. Back here, this is a drum line for the Middleton Pipe and Drum Band in Middleton, Connecticut. They wanted 7 14x16 rope tension snare. Well, can be used as snares or tenors. They're going to have throw-offs. And a 26-inch bass to go with it. Over here, these 16x16 snares that are all in various stages of being varnished. 2 of those are going to Steve Weiss Music, just to be in their catalog. 3 of these and this 26 and 24-inch bass drum back here are going to Bath County High School in Kentucky. They bought one of our drums off Steve Weiss and really liked it, and decided they want to start a rudimental drumming program at the high school. And so now I'm making the rest of the drum line will be a total of 2 basses, 4 snares, making the rest of the drum line to match, so they'll be able to get going with that program, which is really exciting. And it's really cool to me that a high school and school districts was like, like a rudimental drumming program, like this kind of Asian music thing, is to have that support from the school district and the community, I think is super cool. I'm really glad they're doing that. One of these is currently unclaimed. So if you've been thinking about getting a 16x16 rope drum, because one of these is unclaimed, that means that you could have one with a much shorter lead time than usual. So first come, first serve on that. This one is one we're just getting started for Bonnie Brench, the Stowe Minutemen. Their primary concern was that the drum be as lightweight as possible. They have some old Eames drums that are kind of on their way out. They don't really want to be performing with anymore. And of course, Eames drums are made mostly of poplar, the rope tension snares, so they're super lightweight. And so they wanted something that was as light as those Eames drums, but just a new instrument, something that would be reliable and sturdy and sound good. So we're going to do a few things a little bit differently to get the weight on this drum as low as possible. So that's a really interesting one to me. I'm curious to see, the goal is to get it under 9 pounds, which I think I can do. So I'll be posting more about that. It's a cool project. It's a unique project. Whenever we have these kind of challenges, weight very rarely, other than total mass impacts the resonant frequency of the drum, of course. So the mass of the instrument matters to what it sounds like. But outside of those kind of like normal instrument design, like kind of higher level design issues, like we don't really think about that very much, except for on occasion, like with the Boston Crusaders drum bugle corps, their senior corps, we did those super lightweight bass drums for them, and occasionally making things for young children. But whenever weight has to factor into the design, not having to do with the sound of the drum, that's always a really interesting challenge. So I'm kind of excited to get moving on that. This is 21 by 26 concert bass drum. It's going to be rope tension. This is a unique drum for me, and it's one that I'm really super excited about. It's going to be for the Handel and Haydn Society, well, for them to rent, actually. So they're doing Haydn's 100th Symphony, the Military Symphony, this coming season, and that's what I'm building that Turkish Crescent for. If you've been following with the videos, you probably saw me when I got to go to the Museum of Fine Arts here in Boston and check out the Turkish Crescent they have to study it. And that's on my plate next week. Hopefully, I'm going to spend a good chunk of next week really getting that Turkish Crescent happening. But the other thing, so Haydn's Military Symphony calls for Janissary instruments, so instruments would be characteristic of Turkish military bands at the time. Of course, Vienna, we think of Vienna as sort of like this, where so much European music came from. But it was actually really, like, geographically much closer to Turkey than what most of us Americans who are just like not that good with geography at all, especially not European geography. Sorry, it's true. I never really thought too much about like how close those actually are, and so the influence of Turkish music in Vienna is obviously really strong, and also with instruments that were built in Vienna, especially during that time period. There's a lot of really cool stuff, but that's a whole other thing that I could nerd out about forever. Anyway, the point is, the influence of Turkish music and Turkish military bands on classical music that came out of Vienna and that part of the world, it had a heavy influence, and so a lot of the battery percussion, like non-timpani, but like battery percussion that became part of European symphonies, came from that tradition. And so Boston's Handel and Haydn Society is, of course, period instrument orchestra. I believe it's the longest or the oldest continuously running orchestra in the country. Is that true? I think that's true. If that's not true, somebody comment and tell me why I'm wrong. But So they try to do these very, very historically informed performances, and so for their percussion equipment, they asked if I had anything that would be like a kind of characteristic Janissary bass drum that they could rent, because they weren't really in a position to buy this drum, and I had a couple things that were like kind of close to what was the what we needed, but it wasn't quite right, and I kind of got to thinking about it, and I was like, this is a really cool thing. I'd kind of like to have one of these on hand just as part of our rental fleet anyway, so screw it. I'll just make one, and then, they can rent it, and then, when they're through with it, it'll just be part of our rental fleet, or someone buys it, I'll make another one. Anyway, so that's what this is. 21 by 26 inch rope tension concert bass drums, gonna have calfskin heads, obviously, on both sides. Well, I guess not obviously. It could be goat too, but I chose calf. It's got 16 ears, which is a lot for this size drum, but as near as I can tell, that is fairly representative of the time period. And yeah, I did a lot of research on this, and then I kind of took some fairly liberal artistic license because it's not a period reproduction. It's very much a period inspired piece. So I'm really excited about this drum because I got to take a lot of that kind of artistic license while making something that was like, well, you know, if I was back then making a drum, what would be like the dope shit that I could make? So that's what this is. It's gonna have sort of like a Swiss style ear, and out of a thinner leather than I usually use. And I got some cool copper rivets, and yeah, and so it's maple, and the hoops are maple with Itomi veneer, which again, well, I guess that's an African wood, right? It's possible that could have existed in Vienna. Anyway, I'm excited about that drum. That's what I'm trying to say. Here are some of the hoops that are in progress right now. That's like half of the hoops that are. We're working on a lot of stuff. There's also a ton of repairs in right now. It probably at least a dozen drums that need some amount of work. Oh, and William Diamond, fife and drum, the junior fife drum corps, William Diamond. We're totally refinishing all of their drums. They've got kind of a mix of like Coopermans and I think a couple Eames, a couple other things. Anyway, we're gonna refinish all those because they are apparently going on a big trip this season, and they want their drums looking sharp. So yeah, gonna refinish all those pretty much very soon, and yeah, there's a bunch more stuff that we're working on right now. Anyway, I've been talking too long. I get back to work. I'm obviously very excited to be finally back in the shop after so much time off for gigs and the holidays and stuff, and yeah, I'm really excited to get going on this stuff. So if there's anything that you didn't get for Christmas, like, you know, a rope tension drum or a rad new drum set snare or whatever, you know, hit us up, man. Happy to get going on some. We've got all this stuff going on, but still always happy to get moving on new projects. And yeah, I'm going back to work, but thanks, and I will catch you next time.